Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be talking about the possibility of a live action adaptation of the Elden Ring video game franchise. Remember when this game came out back in 2022? It was massive, it sold millions of copies, unrelentingly difficult game, single player, open world gothic fantasy type game where you have to fight against these huge bosses. It was so damn difficult, and I remember people losing their shit, and the videos and the memes were just hilarious. But anyway, let's get into this article, let's break it down. Let's see what George R.R. Martin, the brain power behind the game, let's see what he had to say about the possibility of it being adapted to a live action movie. So this comes to us from IGN. George R.R. Martin reveals there is some talk about making a movie out of Elden Ring, but there's one big obvious thing that could limit his involvement with it. So let's go down and get into this. So George R.R. Martin has issued the strongest tease yet that an Elden Ring movie may come to pass, but he has acknowledged that a significant blocker to his potential involvement with it. So the Game of Thrones creator famously dreamed up the world and history of FromSoftware's Elden Ring, which went on to become one of the best-selling games of 2022. Yeah, like I said, millions of copies sold, people were streaming it all over the place. I remember the craze that was behind this game. FromSoftware and publisher Bandai and Namco leaned heavily on Martin's involvement in the promotional material, and the game's credits began by saying the Elden Ring world was created by FromSoftware chief Hidetaka Miyazaki. Guys, I'm really going to struggle to pronounce this, I do apologize. FromSoftware chief Hidetaka Miyazaki, sorry if I'm butchering that, and George R.R. Martin. I did my best, sorry, it's a difficult name to pronounce. So would George R.R. Martin be interested in coming back for a sequel to Elden Ring if he was asked? That's the question IGN put to the man himself as part of the IGN FanFest in 2025. His response, Martin sidestepped Elden Ring 2, but did drop a big hint that Elden Ring movie could be in the works. So George R.R. Martin went on to say the following. Well, I can't say too much about it, but there is some talk in making a movie out of Elden Ring, Martin said. I mean, talk about games being adapted into live action movies. I mean, this is one that would be fantastic. All you have to do is look at a trailer or some gameplay and you see the artistic design of the characters, the open world. I mean, just the bosses in this game, the way that they move, the kind of the graphic interpretation of just kind of the world and the way it's presented, and the creativity behind it is just insane. And seeing it on the live action screen would just be insanely cool. And I think turning this into a movie would be a great way to go. But they need to get it off the floor. They need to find a director and all that good stuff. But let's cross our fingers that it can come to fruition at some point. So, keep going down here. So, this isn't the first time he's teased an Elden Ring movie. And indeed, from Software President, again, I don't know how to pronounce this, Miyazaki, has said he'd be open to an adaptation of Elden Ring, but only if a very strong partner were to come into play. So, when they say a very strong partner, I think they're talking about like a movie studio, behind finding someone to finance and kind of produce the movie side of it. So they would need to find someone who would know how to do it right. Quote, I don't see any reason to deny another interpretation or adaptation of Elden Ring, a movie, for example, explained Miyazaki in an interview with The Guardian, but I don't think myself or FromSoftware have the knowledge or ability to produce something in a different medium. So he's basically saying him and his team, obviously they make video games, they don't have any knowledge behind creating a movie and a video game, very, very different mediums. Just because you're great at making video games, it doesn't mean you're going to be great at making movies. So ultimately, they need to find a great studio to partner up with. I think like Universal or Warner Brothers or something like that would be a fantastic match for this type of material. So that's where a very strong partner would come into play, he continued. We'd have to build a lot of trust and agreement on whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, but there's interest for sure. However, speaking to IGN, George R.R. Martin acknowledged that there may be a significant blocker to any heavy involvement he may have with Elden Ring movie. He's still working on the Winds of Winter. So, quote, we'll see if that Elden Ring movie comes to pass and what the extent of my involvement was. I don't know, he said. I'm a few years behind with my latest book, so that also limits the amount of things that I can do. Fans of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire fantasy novels have long awaited the planned 6th entry in the series, The Winds of Winter, but after more than a decade of delays, even Martin is acknowledging that the possibility that it may never come to be. So in December, Martin said, unfortunately, I am 13 years late. Every time I say that, I'm like, how could I be 13 years late? I don't know. It happens a day at a time. But that's still a priority, he continued. A lot of people are already writing obituaries for me. They're saying, oh, he'll never be finished. Maybe they'll write, I don't know, I'm alive right now, I seem pretty vital. It's only the latest of what's been an increasingly bleak wait for the Winds of Winter, with the most recent entry in the series, A Dance with Dragons, publishing in 2011. That's the same year that HBO premiered the insanely popular TV series Game of Thrones, which is based on the Song of Ice and Fire series and drew a lot of eyes to the world of Westeros. So that's just a bit of backstory of what's going on currently with George R.R. Martin. He's really behind on writing his books, and that may potentially kind of bar him from being heavily involved with a potential Elden Ring movie project, if one ever comes to pass. But let's hope, you know, obviously he would have to be a consultant surely on the movie to some degree. If he's got a massive creative input on the actual video game, using George R.R. Martin as some sort of consultant, even if it's only part-time on the movie, if it comes, you know, if they actually start a production on the movie, surely they would have to consult him to some degree on the movie. But we'll have to see if that turns out. But it looks like the company behind the, you know, FromSoftware and Bandai Namco, the company behind Elden Ring, the video game, it looks like they're very, very much interested in a live-action adaptation of this video game franchise. But they need to find a studio to partner with. They need to get it off the ground. Can that happen? I think if there's enough money potentially on the table for this movie, then I think they'll get it, you know, they'll get the machine firing on all cylinders and hopefully get the production up and running. Because, you know, when it comes to studio executives, when they smell money in the air, they're going to get the movie made. So we'll have to wait and see, guys, but fingers crossed, because the game is incredible. If you haven't played it, pick it up for yourself, but bear in mind, it's a very, very difficult game to get through. So you need a lot of patience to play this game, but you'll check out the art style, the incredible kind of art that's on display in this game, and you'll see exactly why it would fit on the big screen. So guys, jump in the comment section, let me know, do you think this game would be great as a live action movie? Would you go out and check it out if it did come out as a movie? And do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea? Should it remain as a video game? Whatever your thoughts are, guys, jump into the comment section and let me know what you think. As always, thanks so much for being here. Make sure you hit the like button. Consider becoming a subscriber of the channel if you haven't done so already. It goes a long way to supporting my content, so I really, really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you in the next video.